Hello, folks. My name is Weiss, also known as UV. I'm really excited to talk about this next guy, in line. He's one of the most exciting thing that has happened to the Democratic Party in the race for presidency. I don't think anyone else is as exciting as this guy, folks. He's number one in internet. He's kind of an internet teenage sensation. He's making a lot of people talk about him, and a lot of youngsters and undecided, and people who are coming into the new job market, people who are absolutely not happy with the political system that's in place by both the Republicans and the Democratic Party, likes this guy. This guy is so cool that he has a gang to his name. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yes, the Yang Gang, the founder of Yang Gang, the cool Don of the gang leader. He is Andrew Yang, folks, the cool Asian gang leader who's not afraid of robots, automation, or the Republicans, and mostly Caucasian Americans would not like him at all because he's Asian. So let's see how that goes for him. So Yang Gang, he has great plan, folks. A lot of other smaller countries has implemented this system of giving freedom dividend, like countries in Norway and Switzerland and Denmark. They all try to give a freedom dividend. That is basically like giving every individual living in the country who's a citizen $1,000 per month, not per year, per month, so that their basic needs and necessities taken care of with that money, and then the rest they need to come out and work their asses off to see what they want to do. This kind of system has really worked in few smaller homogeneous populated countries. I'm not sure how it's going to work for a 350 million population country, but he has a good idea, and he has done some six test cases with 6 different focus groups, and he says only 2 different focus groups that doesn't want to work after receiving $1,000 per month income is the new mothers and people who are older. So that's understandable. But then he says everyone else who, apart from taking care of their basic income, wanted to come and work and contribute and make sure they pay their tax dollars, which in turn gives them $1,000 per month income, which is a cool idea. I'm sure not many of them would have thought about this kind of idea, but it's been executed in several smaller countries and it's very successful. People in Switzerland kind of rejected this idea because they don't want to receive free money. They thought it would make them lazy, and they don't want the government to make them not work. So they all rejected and protested against the idea, and it's not implemented in Switzerland. And Switzerland is bigger than the Denmark and Norway. So I don't know how a homogeneous, a multilingual, multicultural country, which is mostly predominantly white, would have a population of 350 million, who's going to adapt this policy. But that's something really cool idea that nobody else has thought of. That's what's made him kicking and talking about, and even Elon Musk and everybody is supportive of his running for presidency. So I think it's one of the coolest thing that has happened to the Democratic presidential race, and I wanted to watch a lot of his videos. I want to do a lot of research on how his thought process is, and every time I found out he's the most brilliant candidate to run for this race. Most brilliant. He might have come close to Obama, I would say, in the terms of his brilliancy, the way he wants to execute the policies, the numbers, the facts, the ideology. He's got all of it, folks. He's the only one who's running this race not based on complete ideology, but mostly on statistical and factual numbers that will actually help and solve the problem. He has really good plan layout, I would say. The only way is he needs to see how to influence and take it to the people who are traditionally voting for Republican, who are traditionally voting for the Democratic political party system, like Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren. He needs to see how he can fight these big guys off who are from the system. So that's something that he needs to focus on. But then I can tell you one thing: he has taken the internet on. He's like an internet revolutionary by this time for US presidential candidate. I don't think anybody else has done what he has done to the internet so far. And if internet is the new age, if internet is the one that reaches to youngsters and young generation, and all the young mothers and young students, I think he would be the one who's going to accumulate all of their votes into the system. But he needs to focus on how he can improve his vote base to 30 to 60 middle age group and 60 to 80 old age group, how those people he can influence on who are not into the internet much as the other younger generation. So let me go to my story by numbers, folks. He's 45 years old, $31.6 million in individual contribution. He founded a nonprofit. He's an entrepreneur by himself, and he was chosen by one of the global entrepreneurship program. One thing is, he said he would create 40,000 jobs, but that's something he couldn't. He created a job, entrepreneur company, NGO company for 4,000 jobs. So something that his track record is not matching with what he's actually promising. That's what the people who follow him need to be wary of. Apart from that, he's seven in news media coverage. Screw the news media. He's number one in internet. Seven in news media coverage. He's 4% average national polling right now, and he has two kids, 7 and 4, and is the number one who's like I said, he's number one in the internet right now. He's the number one Asian candidate to run for the U.S. presidential election. He's number one to bring dissatisfied Trump voters, progressive libertarians, and disaffected voters together. And he's number one in the way of thought about the policy, thought about automation, robotics, and how this would affect the 4 million job to 40 million jobs in the Midwest to all across the globe. So he has thought about all of this and is bringing into something new into the plate, saying it's not the immigrants who's taking the jobs away, it's not the people with the lower income that's getting screwed up, it's actually the automation and robots that's actually replacing the humans in doing all this kind of repetitive work. And his policy is to make sure that if your job is moved, you get a basic income to see what you can do next in your life. That's something cool about him. And like I said, he's number one Asian so far to run. Zero in on. He should zero in on vice presidency, folks. If Democratic Party does not give the vice presidency to him, if he could not finalize on the presidential candidate, the Democratic Party should screw itself. I mean, nobody has come close to bringing the Republican voters, the dissatisfied Trump voters, the young Republican voters, the progressive libertarians. I mean, Trump is most likely not even a debate against any of the Democratic, but not with the cool Asian young gang. I mean, he was going to smother him with the facts, numbers, possibilities, and probabilities. With Trump is proposing only with ideology, only with a fictional story that, he says this could happen, this would happen. But he has a real number and real possibility theory in his hand that will say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. It cannot be 5, as Donald Trump would say. So that's where Andrew Young is going to beat the shit in the race for all the candidates. But I don't know how the Democratic Convention is going to work against him. I don't know how the RIP system is going to keep him not win the candidacy. But whoever gets the candidacy, if Andrew Yang is not chosen as the presidential candidacy, he should zero in on the position of vice presidency, because he will collect all the other leaders together, and all the other leaders, as well as all the other dissatisfied Trump voters, the young libertarians, and all those young Republican voters together, which will give him or the Democratic Party the advantage to winning and replacing Trump for presidency. Trump is a serious phenom, folks. You need someone who's unexpected to throw him off balance. Someone like a cool Asian guy. Someone like a woman who's in her senses. Someone like Bernie Sanders who's off the system. So Bernie Sanders for presidency and Andrew Yang for vice presidency, or vice versa. Andrew Yang for presidency and Bernie Sanders for vice president. Those kind of forces can actually throw someone off the books like Trump. So that's what the Democratic Party, the people of the US should focus on. All right. Thank you, folks. I'll catch up with you on my next video more on the US elections. All right. Ciao.